Hello everyone, very good evening. Can you all hear me and see my screen? Okay, Abhijay can. Acha, just before we start off, can I have all of you turn on your camera briefly for some time so I can see who all are in the session? Anima, Ankur, Abhijay is there, Abhrodeep is there, Roshni and Shonak. Shonak, did you not attend the session last week? You can possibly unmute yourself if you want to talk, or you can also write in the chat. So, Shonak, if you have attended the session last week, this is the same session. You would not, there's no point repeating it. So, that would be a waste of time. I just asked people in the last session, after the last session, if people, so a lot of students had pre-boards going on, right? So that's why a lot of them requested me to have one more session repeating the same. That's why I'm doing this today. All right. So, who all are here? I have six participants: Obhijoy, Obrudeep, Onima, Ankur, Medansh, and Roshni. How many of you are from Morning Bells Academy? Is there anyone from? Okay, so Obrudeep is from Morning Bells. Who else? Roshni is also from that school. Anima is also from Morning Bells Academy, and who else is there from that school? Okay, and what about others? Which school are you from? Obhijoy, Abrudeep, Shrija, Ankur. Ankur has said she is from Morning Well, sorry. What about the other three?
Sahimshila.
So Shrija is from Himshila. That happens to be my school. Abrudeep is also from Morning Wells. Okay. All right. So let's start off. So a lot of you would have met me before. Abhijoy is from Akshar. Okay. So Abhijoy, you had gone to IIT Kharagpur with Edudigm recently. Is that so? Is that how we know you? Okay, okay. So I was the person who had organized the trip, but because I had met with an accident, I was not able to join the trip myself. So I'll briefly introduce myself. So people who met me yesterday at Morning Bells, they would know who I am, but I'm going to use the same slide that I used in your session. But I'm going to talk a bit more about the journey that I had and what exactly we are going to talk about. So I am Shubhomoy, and I am the head of academics and COO of Edudigm. And what I have right in front of me is a distribution of my marks from class 3 to class 12. Right, so I'm somebody who has been born and brought up in Durgapur. So that's right now I stay in Kolkata. That's 180 kilometers from here. So Shrija is from my school, which is this school I studied in 11th 12th. So she's from Himshila. So originally, what happened. So this star I have mentioned over here, this is class 3. Class 3, I was staying in a place of Odisha. I was studying in a government school, doing decently well academically. But then after that, my father, who was in Coal India, he got shifted to Durgapur. And I shifted to a school called St. Xavier School, Durgapur, which had higher academic standards, and the examinations were more strict. Teachers, the marking was a bit more strict. And what happened after that was, if you notice, my scores right from class 4 up to somewhere around class 8, I had struggled significantly with all my academic pursuits throughout, right? And I remember one story. So this is from class 6, my worst academic semester, so to say. And my mother, who I used to always feel very sad. I used to feel very scared to go to school. I did not want to wake up in the morning to go to school, and my mother noticed that. And this is around December, January of my class 6 in the evening. So 5:36. It was almost a bit dark, and there was a park 700 800 meters. near where he used to stay. So it was very close to our house. So my mom took me there. Uh, so Vijay is saying, Nice stats. You have a good memory. I don't remember my class 3 to 6 marks. So I also didn't remember these marks. But when I was starting to take these sessions, I told my mother about that. I'm going to take sessions of students and I'm going to talk about careers. I'm going to talk about how to learn, etc. So then she handed me over a very dilapidated file. And inside that, all these report cards were there. So from that, I've put up all these, I've created this graph basically. So right, class six, my mother took me to this park and she asked me this question. Baba পড়াশোনা কেন করো না? And my genuine answer to her at that point was একদম পড়তে ভাল লাগে না. So that was me in class six, and but something happened after that, you know. So around class eight, first term, so one change happened, and the change was our neighbor changed. So somebody used to stay beside us, and that neighbor changed, and somebody called Pal uncle came and started staying there, and he had a son, Sani Dada. And that person, so Sani Dada used to be a student of IIT Kharagpur. So he was at that point pursuing IIT Kharagpur and Porashona. And my father, who had by that time given up on me, he had said, "Ke idhar kichu hobe na." But he told Sani Dada that you are a very good student. My son is not. So please give him to Buddhi. Please tell him a bit academically, help him academically so that he can also do better. I can also do better. So over time, you know what happened? Sanidada and I became very, very close. And he used to come back to Durgapur, to our home during the summer vacations, during the winter vacations, and we used to spend a lot of time together. And so this is something that my father did not know, that in the time that we are spending together, Sanidada had never once told anything to me academic, had not talked about any topic, any subject ever. We used to play cricket, we used to play video games together, we used to talk a lot. But what happened was, whenever he used to come back, he used to tell me stories about IIT Kharagpur, that I have done this, I have seen this, I have gotten the chance to create this, I have gotten the chance to go to this place. And that started, you know, make me feel, I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but I used to feel that I also want to do what this person is doing. I also want to be there, that this person is describing. And as a result, I started, and I figured out that I would not be able to do that unless I become good in studies. So if you notice, after that, all my scores, I have never scored less than before. I always started, you know, putting in some targets which would be, I always wanted to do better than what I did in the previous semester. I used to set small targets and I used to achieve them. And this philosophy is something that I still follow. And at least try to achieve better than what I have achieved in the previous year throughout. So that still continues. Right. So this is up to class 8, 9, 10. This goes on. And so this something happens around class 10, when my class 10 got over. So this company Edudigm, you got so some of you met me yesterday, and I was representing Edudigm. Some of you have gotten calls or have interacted with us, with Edudigm in some format or the other. So this company got started when my class 10 was about to get over, and I was thinking of my career in terms of what do I want to do, what do I want to achieve in the class 11, 12 period. So I joined Edudigm, and as one of the first students of the company. And Edudigm again coincidentally was started off by four alumni of IIT Kharagpur, and I got to interact with them over time. And so one more thing happened is that at the end of class 10, so my school, St. Xavier's School, did not have 11, 12. So I had to shift to another school which was close by, which is Hemshila Model School. That is a school in which she said that she is studying in. So that's my school. And this is class 11, new school, more exposure to these four IITians, and they were also inspirational. And one difference between them and Sanidada was they were also helping me academically, right? So class 11, something happened. So class 11 was the first time ever in my life where I stood first in anything. I was the topper of Hemshila Model School, the science section entirely. And I'll tell you one thing, that if you ever top in anything, if you ever become first in anything in your life, it's like an addiction. Neshar moto. You don't want to give that up. So I really fought a lot with myself, with the circumstances. I really worked really, really hard over the next 4 semesters, 11 second, semester, 12th first and second semester, to ensure that my position remained intact, that position of the first boy, academically speaking. And that hard work really helped. And I went to pursue mechanical engineering, BTech and MTech at IIT Kharagpur. I really wanted to go there because of these five inspirational people that I had. I used to consider them idols. I really wanted to go to IIT Kharagpur, and I could achieve that. And finally, after IIT Kharagpur, so I joined a company called ITC Limited. Have you heard of this company? What exactly is ITC? Can you name a few products of ITC? Ovijay has. So we have Ashirvad Atta, absolutely. Sun Feast, correct. So we also have Classmate. You have the Classmate notebooks, pens, and all that, right? So that is ITC. I have so just after my college got over in July 2016, and so the next 2 days later, I joined this company as a young engineer. And 2 months down the line, one of the big bosses of ITC comes and tells me that I have a very challenging project for you. And this project, the definition of the project was I needed to create a 21st century monument. And the objective of the monument was that it should replace the iconicness of Victoria Memorial in Kolkata. So basically, this big boss told me that right now, whenever somebody comes to Kolkata, they either take photograph of Victoria Memorial or with Victoria Memorial. We want to create something that would replace that. And right now that project is live. It's there, and the new monument has been created. Can somebody guess what am I talking about? And Morning Bell Academy students are not allowed to answer because I gave you the answer yesterday. So anybody has any idea what structure or building related to ITC am I talking about? Any guesses? This group is a very non-responsive group. Okay. So I'm talking about ITC Royal Bengal. Have you heard of Royal Bengal? Yes, no, maybe. ITC Royal Bengal you have not seen or heard of. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about then. Uh, 1 minute, I'm just Googling. New share. Talking about this. Have you not seen this anywhere? This is ITC Royal Bengal. It's a hotel in Kolkata. So nowadays, whenever people come to Kolkata, they ensure that they go up to Ma flyover and take a picture of Royal Bengal. It's really a gigantic, fine-looking thing. And I'm the person who had uh, created the first blueprint of this project. So yeah, it's a hotel. It's a hotel by ITC. So ITC also is into hotels. So that was one of my first projects at ITC. And I'll tell you why did I call it a 21st century monument? It is because ITC Royal Bengal is better than a tree. So what do I mean by it's better than a tree? It like trees, it takes out carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and gives out oxygen, gives oxygen to the atmosphere. It is better than a tree because it can do two more things. It consumes more waste, solid waste from the environment than it creates. And every day it gives in more water to the groundwater table than it takes up. So, and this is something I feel really proud being able to come up with something like that. And one of the reasons why I feel very proud is because of this specific time and this specific story. In class 6, I used to tell my mom that I really do not like studying. একদম পড়াশোনা করতে ভালো লাগে না, পড়না अच्छा नहीं लगता है. From there, being able to be a pioneer in a hotel design was something that felt very good at a point in time, right? So the reason why we are having this session is this. Number one is from during my school time, during my time at IIT Kharagpur, and after that, and I have figured out a lot of different things, the way the career scape is changing in India. So this session is going to talk about that. And one more thing that I want to talk about is this. So in 2016, which was my final year in college, what happened was a lot of different. So three of my friends. Okay, so three of my friends they committed suicide. So when and this is at IIT Kharagpur, right? So when we talk about institutes like IITs, AIMS, National University of Law, NUJS, all the top colleges of the country, the expectation is the people who go into these places, they are going to be happy, they are going to be successful. But this situation, so these three friends of mine, batchmates of mine who committed suicide, really is talking about a different story altogether. So we really need to ask why does that happen? And in fact, before the COVID pandemic hit the world, in India there was one more pandemic that was already going on, and this pandemic struck us, took up very big shape in 2019, and this pandemic is the pandemic of student suicide. So students of classes 8 to fourth, fifth year of undergraduate college, in this age group, there has been one suicide every hour in the year 2019. And that has only increased in the years 2020, 21, 22, and 23. So we really need to understand why this is happening. And this, what we are going to talk about today, is also going to cover that. So one thing that I need to tell you is, so I've thought about it a lot. So when I told you this story about my class 6, when I used to feel very sad, I used to feel scared all the time, did not want to wake up in the morning and go to school. So my mom noticed that. So right at that point, I did not have any word for it. Now I know that this was called depression, because that has gotten defined now. Or I know that this is the definition of what depression is. Maybe in class 6, I was going through depression. A lot of students so I was lucky because my mom identified that early on, and there was somebody like Sunny Dada who had given me a reason to aspire, and I eventually got out of it. I started feeling better about myself. Maybe a lot of these students are struggling internally, and we need to understand why that happens. And all the students who are attending this right now, this age group is the right age group to talk to about this. And what I've noticed more often than not is this depression, this problem that students have internally, is primarily caused because of an internal tussle war that keeps on going on in the student's mind. And this war or tussle is uh, a competition between two things: a need to succeed immediately, which is an examination. So those of you who are in class 10, so maybe this would be the board's immediate success you need. Maybe it, so for when you go to class 11, or if you're already in class 11, you would be eyeing for success in the upcoming competitive entrance examinations. That is immediate success. That is what we focus on. And immediate success is important, because unless you have immediate success, you would not be able to do really well in life. But when I talk about these three friends of mine, what had really happened was they were champions of that immediate success. They have always been good students throughout their life. They had better scores than me in college. They had better ranks than me before entering into IT. So they were champs in that immediate success part. But what really happened was, what they failed out on was the second aspect, which was the long-term success thing. So they committed suicide because they felt very sad, depressed, scared, because they were not getting jobs. The reason they were not getting jobs was because all the companies that were coming in were looking for something that we call 21st century skills. And for some reason, because these students were so focused on their immediate success, they had never developed the 21st century skills that they needed to develop, that everybody is looking for. And as a result, they had been unemployable. That led to this decision. And what I've noticed is, in a lot of students, so including you, so students of classes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, students of college, this thought continuously goes on in their mind. You all know that there is certain issue that is going on. So only immediate success is not going to cut it. We need to do a lot more to be able to successful in the 21st century, right? So I have this slide. Who can tell me which story is this from? This is one of my favorite stories from my childhood. Which story is this image from? Any idea? Ovijoy, Obrodeep, Manasvi. No idea. This is a story that you would have read in your class 2, 3. Yes, Manasvi is correct. So this is Alice in Wonderland. So yes, Arunava is also right. So this is a story point of Alice in Wonderland, where Alice gets lost in the woods, in the forest, and then she meets a wise cat. And then Alice asks the wise cat, which way should I go? The wise cat asks Alice, which way do you want to go? Alice says, I don't know. And then the cat says, then it does not matter. So the reason why I'm using this slide is because often I find myself in the place of Alice and students. You all, so I find myself in the place of the cat and the students. You all would find yourself in the place of Alice. And in the 21st century, in 2023, the era that we are living in right now, the challenge is that things are very, very uncertain. So our job, so your parents, your teachers, my job right now is to prepare you all for jobs that don't yet exist. In the jobs, you will be using technologies that have not been invented yet. And you would need to solve problems that we do not even know are problems yet. So this is the 21st century that we are living in right now. And the way I have been schooled, I have been parented, the way I used to think about my career when I was growing up, the way your parents and teachers, when they were growing up, used to think about careers, that cannot work anymore. Because the 21st century is a very different time, a very different place, a very differently paced time. And as a result, the way we look at careers have to change, which is going to be the primary objective of this session, right? So if I try to take you through the different careers and how they have boomed over time, if I start from the independence time of India, so from 1950s to 1980s, the way we have access to internet right now, nobody used to have access to so much information, so much exposure at that point, obviously. The only format in which people used to get aspirations or people used to get access to what different careers are possible were movies. So and these movies, so where so this is an era pre Amitabh Bachchan era, where doctors, government employees, police officers, lawyers used to be very, very glorified, and people as a result used to aspire to become these or pursue these careers when they grew up. So in the 1950s to 1980s, all these careers had a very, very big boom. So this is the first 30 years after independence. Then came the 1990s. In the 1990s, what had happened? So Morarji Desai, then Atal Bihari Vajpayee, all these prime ministers had brought in new policies which made the Indian financial sector booming. The financially India opened up. So before that, India was like China, where it was very difficult to trade or understand or talk to us. After 1990s, India opened up financially. And during this time, the financial careers boomed. Everybody wanted to become an accountant. Everybody wanted to become a chartered accountant, cost accountant, somebody who's into auditing. All these careers were booming. Then came the IT boom, right? And engineering, primarily IT related engineering, so computer science, coding, these started. Yeah, absolutely, Abhijay, you're correct. So even army was an aspirational thing during the up to 1980s, because a lot of war was going on. There was this identity, national identity that was there. So obviously that is a part of what I'm talking about. So police officers, army officers were aspirational jobs during this period in the 50s to 80s. After 2000, what had happened? So the companies like TCS, Infosys, they came up, and India became the IT hub where all the IT related work started getting outsourced to India. India became the outsourcing hub, and so this is the time where I was studying in class 11, 12. So 2009, 10, 2009 was my class 11, 2010 was my class 12, and I'm telling you, nobody could think of anything apart from becoming a coder, right? But these the time that we are staying or talking about right now is very difficult. When I was in class 11, class 12, I could see that if I have a specific type of training, if I have a specific type of career aspiration, if I do A, B, C, D, E over the next 5 to 7 years, I would definitely have a very solid, comfortable life. But right now, in 2023, so all of you would be getting into a college in 1 to 2 years time. If you're in 11, 1 year. If you're in class 10, 2 years time. After that, after 3 to 5 years, you would be entering the workforce. So we are right now talking about a time horizon of 5 to 7 years, right? If in 2023 you want to look at the future, by the way, who are these two people in the image? Who are they? And what are they trying to do? Yeah, there is Harry and we have Ron. Yes, yes. And what are they trying to do, Abhijay? And Harry Potter and Ronald Weasley. What are they trying to do in this image? They're trying to predict the future. They're trying to see what exactly is going to happen later. So if we want to do that, so in the next 5 to 7 years time, so when in 2023, if you want to predict what is exactly is the career scape going to look like in 2028 and 2020, 2030. If we try to predict the future, I could predict the future in my class 11 that this is what the future is going to look like. I should prepare myself like this. If we want to do that right now for 2030, I'm very sorry to inform you that we do not have any idea. It is very difficult because given the pace at which things are changing in the 21st century, the amount of innovation, invention that is happening daily, day in and day out right now, it's absolutely impossible to tell you that a কাজটা করো. So if you pursue this XYZ career, you're definitely going to be successful. You're definitely going to be happy. It's very, very difficult to do that right now. It's nearly impossible to do that right now because things are changing so fast, so quickly. In fact, so this is one of the videos that I was playing before the session while we were waiting. And so this report was cited in that video, right? This report is from the World Economic Forum. And so they have this report came out in the year 2020. This is the year when I had quit my job to come into education, venture out and do something of my own. So I joined back Edudigm during this time because I really I am into teaching, and so I came back during this time during the pandemic, and they had put out this report in the year 2020 where they were saying that any work that is repetitive or has manual labor in it will be automated by robotics and AI. So this is a prediction that the World Economic Forum had made in the year 2020 about the year 2025. So they had said that by 2025, 85 million jobs. So this is like 8.5 crore jobs worldwide would be lost. But I'll tell you something. This is not a complete picture because this report is before the ChatGPT disruption. How many of you have used ChatGPT right now? How many of you use? Okay, so Vijay has. Who else use or has used or uses ChatGPT? Is there anybody over here who used ChatGPT to complete your homework? Roshni has also used. Okay, Vijay has not. Obrodhi has also used ChatGPT. Okay, all right. So everybody is aware of ChatGPT right now, right? So what was happening before that? So, so I have a video. I would want to play this video and then we'll talk about what exactly is happening with ChatGPT, right?
AI. But it's not hardware that has white collar workers concerned. It's rapidly advancing software since artificial intelligence is doing a lot more than finishing emails.
The rapid evolution of technology, especially AI and robotics, has revolutionized various sectors, automating tasks previously performed by humans. This shift has indeed already impacted a lot of jobs. The job market is undergoing a profound crunch, calling for a recalibration of skills and competencies. According to the World Economic Forum, by the end of 2025, around 85 million jobs will be replaced by robotics and AI. So, by the time our children join the workforce, if we continue training them the way we are, they might find themselves jobless.
Perhaps the biggest nightmare is the looming new industrial revolution, the erosion of the middle class. Already one of America's most serious problems could get much worse with AI if we
It's scary, isn't it? There is a severe need to rethink the way of educating 21st century kids. And the traditional way of teaching just won't work. Besides this, there's another emerging challenge. As the technologies get advanced, so do the distractions. Companies like Netflix, Instagram, Snapchat, and mobile games are investing millions of dollars to keep their viewers hooked to their platform with tempting cues like autoplay button, strategic cliffhangers, or reels that make hours of your time go away. Not only does this affect their attention span, but also their motivation to study. Have you ever faced this with your child? Like teaching, there's a serious need to rethink parenting tactics as well of the 21st century to cope up with this lack of concentration. The new way of teaching and parenting 21st century kids.
Right. So this is the context of what I was trying to talk about. So essentially, so there is a word that was used in this video by in the Wall Street Journal clip. So which talks about the fourth industrial revolution, which is also called Industry 4.0. So right now we are going through the fourth industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was the invention of steam engine that automated everything, that made a bit of manual labor redundant. The second industrial revolution came with the advent of electricity, electrical motors, electric lights, and all that. This was spearheaded by people like Edison and and what is the name of the AC guy? Sorry, so people like that. You would observe the so Maxwell. So the scientists that we all study about in 11 and 12. So we would be studying a lot about them during this time. So all these people had brought in the second industrial revolution with electricity. The third industrial revolution hit us in the year 1990s, 1991 to 1993, where internet, computers, all of this had come in. And the fourth industrial revolution is all about AI and robotics. So I said I quit my job at ITC in 2020. The last 2 years, last 2.5 years. So this is from 2017 ka mid to 2020 ka end. So during this time, I was working only on Industry 4.0 projects. And the mandate from the top management was that we have to introduce a lot of automation so that we don't need to hire as many people. So the automation, the robotics was actually replacing manual labor and repetitive thought processes, clerical works. Now what has happened? So manual labor, physical work was already being replaced by robotics. This is based on which the report had come out that I just showed from World Economic Forum. Right now, this is year one of AI. 2023 is the first year where actionable AI has come in. And this actionable AI has already started replacing thinking. When you are going to join the workforce, which is 2030, that would be 7th year of AI. AI is going to be much better than what it is right now. Right now, we are just seeing basics of what AI can do. At that point, you would have very well developed artificial intelligence, right? So physical work नहीं कर सकते हैं, automate हो जा रहा है. Thinking is also getting automated. So the problem is, what do we do? That is what we need to understand and explain, right? So there are certain, so with this context, I'm just going to glance through a list of career options that are still going to be relevant. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to spend a lot on the list of careers that I have pointed out or the exams that we have pointed out. I will be sending this presentation over to you on the WhatsApp group so that you can go through this on your own and take decisions. So this is a brief list of different types of areas. Obviously, engineering, medicine is there. You would have architecture. You have options of design, animation, multimedia. Law is a very well pursued career. Defense is there. Management is there. Performing arts is never going to be replaced by AI or robotics. So that is going to get more and more importance over time. Agriculture, I'm not saying that become a farmer, but agriculture as a academics pursuit is a very booming field. Social sciences, commerce and accounting is always going to be there. Hospitality industry is going to be very relevant. And so these are some traditional careers that we talked about. I'm going to share the presentations. You can go through them in detail. See what exactly these careers are. And I have a long list. I can share that with you as well if you're interested. So I want to spend some time talking about this thing called offbeat careers, where I'm talking about being an influencer, becoming a YouTuber, becoming a professional gamer, or things like that. So these are careers that do not necessarily require an examination for you to pursue these. These are more of things that you can just start doing. Is there anybody, any aspirational influencer, YouTuber, or gamer here, or any other such careers? Anyone out of the 10 students who are currently here? क्यों नहीं? अच्छा, ठीक আছে. So I just want to talk about 2 points. One is it's very little. I have one person who's slightly interested in becoming an influencer or a YouTuber or a gamer maybe. So I have personally tried all the 3 things out. It's good. It has an initial high. It gives you a very good feeling when you start influencing or creating content on YouTube or start streaming yourself while playing games or competing in different game competitions. So BMGI, Counter-Strike, all of these Dota, all of these still have world-class champions. I've tried to participate. I've worked a lot on that as well. So there are two things that I want to talk about. So number one, the way these people make money or make their career is if their followers end up making some buy purchase decisions based on the content that they're generating, right? So that is one of the primary ways of earning while being an influencer, YouTuber, and a gamer. The problem is in India. So say I was in the US and I was doing this. The options in the Western countries, the prospects of earning while pursuing these offbeat careers is much higher compared to doing that in India. So an Indian influencer would earn 90 times less than a similar quality influencer in the West. The reason being the kind of followers that you have, which are Indians, are very thrifty. They do not spend a lot just because somebody who they follow is suggesting it. Compared to that, Westerners spend a lot more. Indians are more looking for value. So just being an influencer or an influencer telling you to buy something does not really work over here. As a result, the Indian influencers do not earn as much as their Western counterparts. Second is, you would have seen that your parents, suppose they're working for the last 10, 12, 15 years, 20 years, you would see that over time, they would say that our kaj korte bhal lag jana, you would feel a burnout, but this burnout has happened to them over years, right? Over decades. When you are into influencing, the problem is because you're required to create so much regularly. So a lot of my friends and influencers have tried my share of thing with this. The burnout rate comes in within months. So after 3, 4, 5 months, you would not really want to create more content. So these are the two negative points about having these careers. But obviously, if you think you have a flair for these, go ahead and whatever makes you happy and successful, that should definitely work out. Next, so normally what happens is when we try to think what career I want to pursue, we usually do it because our parents are asking us to do a certain thing, or because somebody in our vicinity, in our locality, somebody we look up to have pursued a certain career, and then we say, I also want to do that. But that is a wrong approach of setting a target for your career, right? So there is a better way of doing it. So the better way of doing it is, so when you grow up, like I said, keep in the 21st century, we are teaching students to solve problems that we do not know are problems yet. So this is something we call the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the United Nations wants all the countries in the world and all the companies in the world to work on these 17 problems or these 17 areas to make the world a better place. So I'm pretty sure that as you grow up in the next 5 to 7 years, more things will get added to this list. But these 17 areas are the problems of the world that are here to stay, and that these are the areas that definitely you would need to, that definitely would exist when you are joining the workforce. So instead of choosing a career right away, what I would want you to do is look at United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and try to find out what exactly is that area, what exactly is the problem of the world that you relate to, that you really want to solve. So for example, I have invested myself right now in Sustainable Development Goal SDG number 4, which is quality education. So Edudigm right now, so our objective is to make quality education affordable and accessible for all. Right. So and so that is what I have invested myself in. And I knew very early on that I am eventually going to get into education only. And I'm talking about my first year of college. I knew that I'm definitely going to go into education. So similarly, what I would want you to do is I would want you to think really hard that which of these areas do you relate to? And you should choose that, you should say that this is the problem that I would want to invest my life on to solve. Or this is an area that I would use to make the world a better place. Once you do that, so these are the problems of the world. So this is something that I have squeezed up and put over here. There are different ways of solving problems, but you would need certain skills to solve the problems. Then you start thinking, if I want to solve this problem, what exact skills do I need to have to do that? And then you choose institutes. Institutes are called colleges. So IITs, medical colleges, science colleges, maths colleges, arts colleges, law colleges, accounting exams, all of these, or accounting institutes, so commerce institutes, all of these are places where your skills become better. So then you choose, after you've chosen the problem of the world, you have to go towards from right to left. Then you choose the institute that would suit you, that would give you the necessary skills. Once you have done that, they would definitely get to know which exams do you need to target to get into these institutes. And then I have said Edudigm over here. So you're in the extreme left. You want to clear exams. So I'm not primarily saying Edudigm Iota Korai, but Edudigm represents a community of institutes that help you crack these exams. Because I'm on the topic of this, and you would all be required to, as a part of the culture, to join some tuition or coaching, because in Bengal that thing has started happening. It was not so rampant back in our day, but it has now become a part of the norm, the culture. I want to make you wary of one thing, that usually a lot of parents and students ask us ki 11, 12 কতক্ষণ পড়ান, and I say ki 9 hours, and they get shocked because the expectation is that all the hours of a student in class 11 and 12, parents want to book them in some sort of coaching or other, with an assumption that if they go there, they would definitely become successful and crack the exams that they would want to crack. But the story is very, very different. Okay? In 11, 12, you want to maximize your self-study time so that you can develop your skills that will help you actually crack the examinations. Whatever institute you are looking for, if they're very, very heavy on contact hours, you will be losing out on preparation time. So please be very wary, and please do not book all your time. You should not book more than 9 to 12 hours of your weekly time in on these supplemental learning places. And the second thing that I'm going to talk about is this. What type of person should you become? I said, no, there are short-term goals and then there are long-term goals of developing your 21st century skills. So I open question to all of you. How many of you think which one should we be? Should we be jack of all trades or should we be master of one? There is a very famous quote that we have, but let me see, what do you all think in the 21st century? Should we be jack of all trades or should we be master of one? If we want to, okay. So Abhijoy is saying jack of all trades and master of many. Roshni is saying master of one. Anyone else? Master of one. So I have multiple people saying master of one. So there was this old saying, na? Don't be a jack of all trades. Or there is an old Aesop story. Don't be a jack of all trades, be a master of one. But that story is not relevant in the 21st century anymore. So you should not either be a jack of all trades or master of one. So this represents, this is called a flat type personality, where a lot of superficial knowledge is there on a lot of different topics. This is called an I type personality. And I type personality means there is a depth in a single specific topic. Okay. Then what we have is what we call a T type personality, where there is superficial understanding of a lot of different topics, jack of all trades, and then there is depth in a specific topic. This is called a T type personality. And then there is an M type or a comb type personality, which essentially is jack of all trades and master of many. Right? In the 21st century, if you want to be successful, you need to be the M type personality. You have to be jack of all trades and master of many things together. So for example, suppose you want to become a lawyer. Just being a lawyer is, or being good at law is not going to cut it. You also need to be good at using AI tools, because if a lawyer is using AI tools, they would be able to service multiple clients more effectively at a lower cost compared to a lawyer who is not. And this lawyer which is using AI will be more successful. Similarly, the lawyer has to be empathetic, should be able to communicate. Just having knowledge of law is not going to cut it. Suppose you're an engineer. Just being good at engineering is not going to make you successful. You also need to know how to ideate. You also need to know how to communicate with the person, with all the laborers who are going to execute your job. Suppose you're in the IT industry, you need to know how exactly to work well in a team. You would know how to represent data to your management. How do you pass on instructions effectively to your juniors? These are not engineering skills. These are other skills. Similarly, suppose you want to be a doctor. Just being good at biology and medicine is not going to cut it. You need to know how to talk to the parents, the patients' families, to tell them that. So Arunabu is saying, if you invest only in one topic, you will falter in everything else. If you invest in everything, the fine details of those will shut you down. The fine details of all those will shut you down. I don't really think if I got what you were meaning, Arunabu. But so the idea is that instead of just focusing on one thing, so what I've seen often is in 11, 12, traditionally, this is something that did not happen in Bengal before. But a lot of players from Kota are coming down to Bengal and somehow sort of ruining the culture. Right. So what I have seen when I was at IIT Kharagpur, so 40% of IIT Kharagpur had come from what we used to call factories. And they had come from Kota or some institutes down south where all they used to do was 24/7 do problems. There's a culture of entering into dummy schools and all that. What I had seen was that they had better ranks than a lot of us. They had gotten into the institute, but once they were in the institute, so suppose I am there and a friend of mine is there. Right. So you're correct. You're correct. So if you want to go into depth of a certain topic, then you are called an expert in that, and master of that. So you need to be master of multiple things, and you should have superficial knowledge of almost everything that you can lay your eyes on. So what I'm saying is, so when these students from these factory setups, institutes had gone to IIT Kharagpur, they used to struggle really a lot because they had given up all the other areas of skill development in the last 2 years, and they had only focused on one thing, which was problem solving. So that is not really helpful. So for example, when I was in class 11, 12, you would not believe this, my attendance was 98%. In class 12, I was the head boy of my school. I had exposure in interacting with different people. I was playing games. I was creating new events. And all of these different skill developments, apart from my education, I used to study after school, during the school, in the classes, but all this exposure that the school setup gave me actually has been useful to make me successful over time after I went to IIT Kharagpur. And I've seen people struggle. I am still seeing a lot of my batchmates struggle just because in the most formative years, 11, 12, they had just focused on problem solving and not on the entire holistic picture. Right? So 21st century is supposed to be a creator's century. Okay. And who is a creator? A creator is somebody who can become a creator. A creator is somebody who possesses these 4 skills. These are the skills that companies of the 21st century also look for. These skills are communication skills. So I'm not saying that you have to communicate like a Barack Obama or Narendra Modi. You don't need to be extremely good at that. But you need to have the ability to express what you're thinking properly, verbally, and in writing. Next important skill is creativity. What is the meaning of creativity? Creativity is the ability to come up with different solutions to the same problem, thinking of different things to do given the same constraint number of things. Third is critical thinking. Critical thinking is all about ability to sit at one place, think about a specific thing for a long time and coming to a conclusion. This is something that is getting challenged a lot by all these reels, short format videos. And finally, nothing can happen without teamwork. So there is a very important need to develop collaboration skills. So a rhetorical question. How do you become good at maths? How do you score more on maths exam? Who can tell me? By practicing. So if you practice math, you will become better at math. So my next question is, how do you become good at creation? How do you become a creator, a good creator? And the answer is again the same, by practice. You become a good creator by practicing creation. Yes, absolutely, Abhijit. So you become good at math by practicing math. You become good at creation by practicing creation. So if you not only focus on problem solving skills in the next 2 years, but also keep some time away to practice creation once a week at least, trying to come up with something new, then what will happen over time? These 4 skills will get created. And there is one more way of developing these 4 skills, and that is called curiosity. That I call this the mother of all the 4 skills of the 21st century. And I'll tell you a story. The story is about my son. So I have a son of 2 years old, who is 2 years old now. And so what I've noticed is when I interact with students of classes 1, 2, 3, 4, they have all the questions in the world. They would ask weird questions, which also make sense. Questions like, sir, if fanta ঘুরছে তো হাওয়া নিচে কেন আসছে উপরে কেন যাচ্ছে না? When the fan is revolving, rotating, why is the air coming down and not going up? It's a very pertinent question. And students of classes 1, 2, 3, 4, all the students have questions like that. It's very difficult to go to a class of 1, 2, 3, 4 because you have to prepare a lot. because they can ask anything. So we are all inherently curious, is what I've realized. But when I go to interact with students of classes 10, 11, 12, somehow it feels like they're dead inside. There is no question, there is no doubt, there is almost never independent thinking and groundbreaking questions. Because something has happened over the last 10, 12 years, which has caused this curiosity to die. And I used to wonder, why is that happening? And then I realized with something that happened to my son. This is a story about my son. So he's 2 years old now, and me, my wife, and my mom, we were sitting in the living room, and my son is walking, wobbling around. So he wobbled his way to the kitchen, and kitchen on the slab of the kitchen there were few eggs kept, and he was really interested about you could see the eggs. I was really interested, so he went and he tried to grab the egg. As soon as he tried to grab the egg, both my mom and my wife, they ran to the kitchen saying, "No, no, 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 देंगे जापे." And very, very gallantly they saved a ₹6 egg from this 2-year-old, from my son. So, but I realized that, and this is a very natural way of behaving. We all have seen this, felt this in our life, where we're trying to do something and somebody comes and stops us because something wrong will happen. So, but what they had done was, by in an attempt to save this ₹6 egg, they essentially stopped a lot of science experiments. What would have happened? Suppose my son took that egg. He would see that this thing is something solid. And then obviously in a couple of minutes time, he would have dropped the egg and the egg would have broken. He would have realized, acha, dekho, a solid thing can also break. It's fragile. And once it would have broken, he would see that from a white looking thing, something transparent and something yellowish had come out. And he would see that change happen in front of him. Then he would see that the yellow thing is blobby. If you would poke his finger in it, the blobbiness would go and it would become liquidy. That would be an experiment again. And my son hates chip-chipa thing. So he would have never touched another egg ever in his life, because he would hate that texture of whatever he's touching. But all this experiment was stopped in an attempt to save a ₹6 egg. And I thought of this at that point, that this is nobody's fault. But if I try to look back at my life, I have faced this so many times. All of you would have faced this so many times, similar situations so many times in your life, which essentially causes the curiosity to go down. But if you want to become successful in the 21st century, there is a very important need to both practice creation, and second, to harbor and nurture your curiousness, your curiosity. Because these are the two things that can help you become successful in the 21st century. Because that's how the 21st century careers and landscape is entirely shaping up. So what should we do is, so how do we do this is my answer to that, after a lot of experimentation over the last 12 to 14 years. So that's how long I've been involved with education. So we have found out after a lot of trial and error, is that the way to do this, the way to become a good creator and the way to ensure that you're curious, is through something called STEM learning. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I'm not saying that everybody should pursue a career in STEM, but the top 90% careers in the by 2030 is definitely going to be STEM careers. It's already is, and it's going to become more. So if you look at the top companies of the world, the Fortune 500 of the world, 499 of them are tech-driven companies, and they use the latest technologies. The scarier thing is, so even if you are not into STEM, if you do not want to pursue a career in STEM, you still need to have a background in STEM learning, because 65% of the non-STEM jobs will need some STEM exposure. What I mean by this is, so I told you about the lawyer. A lawyer who knows how to use AI is going to be more successful than a lawyer who does not know how to use AI. So the lawyers who have, lawyer is a non-STEM job, non-STEM career. But if a lawyer has some STEM background, then they would definitely have an edge. So there are two things right now. So suppose you are somebody who wants to pursue STEM as a career, then you should definitely do STEM learning, because that is going to shape your thinking, that is going to make you curious, that is going to make you practice creation. If you are somebody who is not going to pursue STEM careers, I would still tell you, in the next 2 years, as a hobby, you should definitely invest some time of yours into STEM learning, right? And STEM, so you can Google up what exactly STEM learning is, and you'll have a fair idea what am I talking about. And if you do that, you would have a better edge, you would have a better thought process, you would be more curious, and more importantly, you would have practiced creation. Right. So I will tell you a couple of stories. So just Haimashri is one of our students that I had. And she was addicted to mobile phones, right? And what we had done was we had replaced that. So back then we did not have so many apps, not so much Instagram and all. We had Facebook, we had Orkut, and she used to spend all her time on that. Obviously, there was YouTube. But what we did was we tried and successfully replaced her mobile addiction with, instead of going to Facebook, she started going to something called Google Scholar, where all the innovations, inventions, scientific papers of the world is present, can be found over there. So what she had done, so this is a part, so in a STEM learning environment, just telling you how STEM learning helps. So this habit change had happened because of her exposure to STEM learning. And we used to have, every week, we used to make her practice creation, right from class 8, 9, 10, all of this happened. So when at the end of her class 10, what she had done, on a research paper, she found out that human hair has a protein called keratin, which is why if hair becomes weak, we would see people doing keratin treatment. So she found out that this keratin protein is able to absorb arsenic from water. Have you heard of arsenic poisoning, arsenic pollution? West Bengal happens to be a place which has been most afflicted by arsenic pollution of the water. So she found out that human hair is able to do that. For the next 3 weeks, she did not come to our classes, and we wondered what happened. We later found out in this, she told us that in these 3 weeks, every Saturday, she used to go around 10 kilometers of her house, trying to find out salons, and parlors. And she would go with a broom and a super, and she would collect all human hair from there. She had collected 2, 3 proper gunny bags full of hair, and then she created a filter out of it. And I'll tell you one very surprising thing that for me it was surprising. When we tried, so Kolkata water has a lot of arsenic in it. We tried purifying Kolkata water using that filter that she had made, and it worked. It reduced the amount of arsenic in the water by 85%. So which was wonderful, something that she has created when she was not even in class 11 right now. And this happened because of weeks of practicing creation. So she eventually we took this project. So she refined it over the next 2 years. When she was in class 12, we took this project to Google Science Fair, and she was one of the finalists there. And one of the jury members was from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, US. So they gave her a direct offer that now you come and start studying with us. So after class 12, she went to MIT. She studied. Initially, she was studying this product designing. She eventually moved to computer science over there, and right now she's working at the Facebook head office in California. Right. Similarly, I have one more student, super curious, Devargo, and Devargo's story is like this. So he was really into automatic vehicles. So even before Tesla's self-driving car was a buzzword, he was really thinking about how to create one, and he had created a properly working prototype. So we went with his creation to Intel Science and Technology Fair, and so Lincoln University and MIT. So they had jury members, and they were so impressed by the thing that he had created. They named a minor planet in the solar system after him. It's still called, the name of this planet is Sarkar, named after Devarga Sarkar because of his creation. And so this is a minor planet. Obviously, we have 8 major planets. We have dwarf planets, and then there are smaller objects in the solar system which are called minor planets. So one of them is named after him because of the work that he had done in his classes 10 and 11, practicing while practicing creation. He went to Jadavpur University, then Harvard University. Right now is leading new research at IBM. Story of Shrimoy. Shrimoy is a currently class 8 student in Mshila. So I think Shrija might know Shrimoy. Are you still here, Shrija? Right. So Shrimoy's story is this, that whenever I used to go to Durgapur, so I used to go very often until very recently, every 7-10 days. And I used to be scared to go to Durgapur because I knew that whenever I went there, I would go and meet Srimohi, and she would ask me lists of questions. She would always have 30-40 questions ready on artificial intelligence. And I am not somebody who's a specialist in that. So before going to Durgapur, I always had to read up a lot because I knew that she would ask me questions. And over time, what had happened was I was not able to answer a lot of these questions. The questions that she had, pure curiosity. The type of questions she was asking, I Googled, I tried to read up research papers, I tried to read up books, I watched documentaries, videos. I could not find out answers to the questions that she was asking. So one day she calls me and says that I'm very angry with you. I will not talk to you. I said, why? What have I done? So she said, you have not answered 123 questions that I've asked you in the last 1 year. So this is when she was in class 7 last year, right? So I said, I explained to her that dekho, it's not like I don't want to answer these questions. I have tried. I do not have answers. So what she did after that was she wrote down all these questions in one place, and she came up with the what she thinks can be an answer to these questions by thinking. So curiosity I already talked about. This is her trying to do critical thinking. She came up with answers to these questions, and what and we converted those answers into an essay, which became a 3-page long essay. And this was her original independent thought on how human brain and artificial intelligence are similar, and what can be done to artificial intelligence, what kind of development can be done on it to make the development faster. That is what her 3-page essay was all about. So she really wanted to show this to the world that I have created this. This is my idea. So there was a competition that was happening at IIT Bhubaneswar last year, and the competition was actually a conference, and the conference was on human consciousness and beyond. So we took her there, and she presented her small 3-page paper. And who else was there in the competition? So there were doctors from AIMS, there were professors from IITs, NITs, there were research scholars from IITs, NITs. There are proper, stalwarts in the field coming and presenting their 200, 300-page paper with so many evidences, so many experiments. And in the competition, we also have Srimoy, who is a class 7 student, barely reaching up to the podium. But she had the third 3-page paper with no experimentation, just original thought. And she presented it over there. We thought this is a good exposure. I used to tell her, see, you did ask me this question. I did not have any answer, but that person is talking about that same topic. So we spoke to these professors, research scholars, doctors. I was surprised when the results were declared. Srimoy had actually been third, beating so many, very important people in that field of AI and robotics. So nowadays, whenever I go to Durgapur, now Srimoy has become my teacher. I do not, she does not ask me questions. I ask her questions, and I learn from her what can be a new way of thinking of AI, for AI and robotics. So essentially the roles have reversed. And finally, I have a very close junior of college. So this is a person that I used to teach. Then when I was in my 4th year, he joined IIT Kharagpur in the 1st year. So very keen interest in automobiles. Always wanted to make cars. Did really well in the traditional format of examinations. Had a very good score in JEE mains, advanced, and all that. He also went to IIT Kharagpur when I was in my 4th year, I think 5th year, last year. In my final year, he came to the 1st year. He joined the group that I already was a part of. This group's work was to create racing cars, and we had represented India in London's Formula Students FSAE. So it's Formula One Students competition, and we have never won because we had just started off. So he joined that team. Very curious person. Again, he used to always experiment, always ask questions, always challenge the way things were being done, and thought of new ways of doing things. Again, this is all because of those every week the practice of creation that we had taken him through. And so he did well. He did really well in the group at IIT Kharagpur. We also went to MIT to study. And not Kshitij. So Kshitij is the tech fest of Vijay. He was a member of a team called Team Kart, KART. So Team Kart is the team which creates racing cars at IIT Kharagpur. It's a group of students. So Kshitij is the technology fest of IIT Kharagpur. Anyway, so right now, so one thing that I want to tell about Abhishek is have you heard of Tesla? And they're coming up with these gigantic factories everywhere. So the Tesla Gigafactory of Berlin was designed by Abhishek, and he's right now leading that factory. It became operational a couple of months back, and he's there. He's doing all that. I really feel good about him. But all these 4 stories that I told you, I told these stories to you just to give you certain examples on how you should ideally what you should aspire to be when you grow up in the next 5, 10 years time. And you would definitely have an edge if you have this creative bent of mind. By creative bent of mind, I'm not saying that you're able to create thoughts. If you're able to create things in the world, if you're able to become a real world creator by continuous practice, then you would definitely be people like these. If you're able to be curious and keep asking questions without getting scared of the consequences, then you definitely reach places, or you'll have stories like this for yourself as well. And so that's all why I wanted to talk about this. So what's really common between them? Common between them is curiosity, creative thinking, ability to come up with different thoughts to the questions that cannot be answered. And I'm very proud to say that these two were nurtured in them by me partly, by a team of Edudigm partly as well. So I've already talked about curiosity and the story of my son and what curiosity is all about. Let me briefly tell you one slide on Edudigm. So Edudigm's objective. So I said that we are here to make quality education affordable and accessible. The thing that we do is we try to inspire people. So like I got inspired by these 4 or 5 people in my life that I talked about. So we try to inspire, give inspiration to students by having these figures that students get to interact with. Second is we try to challenge the thought process of students. So that we are able to build the curiosity, we are able to build the uh, creative thinking part. And the objective is obviously, if we are able to do that, if we are able to build the 5 C's, the 4 skills of 21st century curiosity, and obviously if we are able to do the immediate task at hand as well, which is problem solving skill enhancement, that essentially transforms people's lives. So I'm very happy to lead. So we have mentored around 25,000 students over the last 10 to 14 years. We are in touch with almost everybody still. One thing that is common between all of these students are genuinely 95% of these people, whenever we talk to them, whenever I talk to them, they have one thing in common where they say that whatever we are doing, we are very, very happy. And they thank that this thought process has come because of Edudigm. And that is something that I really pride myself in, that chalo, ye to hua hai, that people, the students of Edudigm are happy. So if you're happy, you would definitely be successful over time. Right. And finally, going to talk about creative thinking. So how do we do creative thinking? It's through something called STEM innovation. And this is something that you can take a cue out of. I'm not saying that you have to do it with Edudigm. You can do it yourself as well. So what we essentially have is, we have created a box which we call the DIY box, do it yourself box, which has certain electronics items in it. Again, everything is available, readily available on Amazon. You can buy individual components of electronics, a set of components from Amazon. What you can do after that is, once you have a set, every week spend not more, but at least 20 to 30 minutes trying to think of what is something new that I can create out of these things that I have. That is what I mean by practicing creation. So what we do is, every week, so in 11, 12 as well, we spend 20 minutes time, not more than that. 20 minets time on a Saturday or a Sunday, ideally either on a Saturday or on a Sunday, where this box is there with all the students, and I would ask them that "Ki banana jeta pareta diye?" Challenge that thought, and then they will spend 20, 30 minutes more to create something out of it. So that's all. This is weekly, pushing somebody to think creatively and actually creating something. This is what I mean by continuously practicing creation. So that is something that you should take a leaf out of. This is what we have figured out, and we have been doing for the last 5, 6 years now. It really works, and you can also do that, and you don't need any time to do this yourself. You can do it on your own. Right? All these things are available generally everywhere, right? Chandni is a place in Kolkata where you get these materials very cheap, free of cost. No, not free of cost, almost free of cost. So it would cost you 200, 300 rupees to get a huge, gigantic set of electronics items which you can use to create stuff. And so obviously one more thing, so there are a lot of stories that people have created. So Priyanka cannot tie her shoelaces, has created a voltage regulator, like a fans regulator, using this DIY box. I would want to talk about this thing that Ayush has created. Ayush Singh, student of Asian International School, studying with us for the last 4 years now. So he has created this cap, and in the using this cap is for the blind people, which will the cap, if a blind person cannot walk without the help of somebody else, right? Or without the help of a stick, and still there is a big chance of getting into accidents. So this cap is an alarm system which tells the blind person that something is coming in front of him and make him stop, him or her stop, and then tell which way should he or she turn, right, left, using vibrators that are present on the wrist of the person. And obviously this cap is something that they wear. So this is something that was created by Ayush, and Ayush really does not want to go to college. Okay, so this is something that he wants to patent this. We are trying to refine this and help him patent it. He wants to set up a company, and he's saying that if this company is slightly successful in the next 2 years, by the time he's in class 12, then he would not go to college and he would pursue this only full time. And surprisingly, his parents are okay with that. So then we said that if your parents are okay with this, we can definitely do it. So we are helping him perfect this right now, helping him file for a patent, register a company. Probably we'll figure out how to do manufacturing, and Edudigm owns a very small percentage of this patent as well, because we helped him do it. But okay, so that's a story that I really wanted to talk to you about. So and finally, one more thing. So if we only focus on practicing creation, no, that does not really cut it. The second thing that we need to do is we need to be very, very good at problem solving as well. So practicing creation is important. That develops your 21st century skill. But that's a long-term thing that you have to keep on doing over time, and then you will eventually develop the 4 skills that I'm talking about. But in the immediate success part, we genuinely need to be good at problem solving as well. So what we generally do is we have this whenever we are studying anything, we try to give students an exposure of real world, trying to show them exactly how this works. So for example, if I'm teaching, I'm the person who usually teaches physics all the time. So if I'm teaching students that this is Newton's second law of motion, then or Newton's third law of motion, instead what I would want to do is I would want to uh, show or create a rocket which actually shows that to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and the rocket is actually flying because of that. So that is something that I've been trying to do and developing over the last 5-6 years now. And so all the learnings that happen at Edudigm are practical learning, and this really helps students. So if you're seeing things in front of you, you would understand things deeper, better. Your base gets built better. So again, I'm not saying that you have to do this with Edudigm. Again, very easy to do, very possible to do. You have YouTube. Whenever you're studying any new concept in 11, 12, please try to look at applications of this concept directly using some videos. Try to emulate that video in your real life. And if you're able to do that, I'm telling you, I'm guaranteeing you that the amount of depth of understanding that you will have for concepts will be unparalleled. And that will help you develop problem solving skills as well. So I have a small video. I think I'll play it. I just want to focus on this first clip only. So this is an instance of the a lot of us have studied that in order to reduce boiling point, we have to reduce pressure. If pressure reduces, boiling point goes down. So here, this is Thomas, a member of my team. So he was actually teaching the topic. So instead of just learning that boiling point reduces by reducing pressure, we would prefer showing. That's exactly what he's doing. He's boiling water at room temperature by reducing the pressure inside the syringe. So these are things that you can focus on, while you're trying to study in 11, 12, even. So 10 is almost over. If you're in 11, 12, concepts are very, very important. And try to have this practical approach of learning. Whatever new thing you're learning, try to do it. Try to see something, try to create something that helps you see it in front of you. And that would really help develop your understanding. Right. So Right. That is so a lot of different examples of doing things practically. So a lot of things that I showed over there. So law of conservation of energy, that is demonstrated using that car that we created together with the students and all that. So that's all I'm saying, that if you want to become successful in the 21st century, you definitely have to develop that creator's skill. You have to practice creation, and you also have to, for an immediate success in the examinations that are coming up, you have to work on your problem solving skills, right? So in conclusion, so the CEO of the company, who is my teacher as well, he really wanted, so since I was having this session, he really wanted me to talk a bit about what Edudigm does, so that if there is anybody who's here who wants to uh, go on this journey of problem solving skill and 21st century skill enhancement with Edudigm, they can do that. So I'll just take a minute or two to do that. So essentially, we in Edudigm, we are pursuing STEM learning from classes 3 to 12. And for 11, 12, what happens is the primary focus is on problem solving skills enhancement, because the immediate competitive examinations are coming up. But we also create robust student portfolios where students are creating over the 2 years, 4 to 8 projects students would create. And they would say that this is something that I've created on my own. So that is creating the student portfolio. The primary focus on problem solving, secondary focus, but still a major portion is practicing creation, actually creating things. And finally is so what we do is we have this lecture, practical and tutorial. So lecture is me explaining concepts, practical is me showing these things practically to you, and tutorial is sitting and practicing problem solving. So if we do this on an online mode, and so I genuinely don't want students of classes 11, 12 to waste time traveling. You would rather study on your own and save time on traveling. So primarily all these lectures for 9 hours, 12 hours, as per the number of subjects you have chosen, would happen online. And then we focus on the creation and examination every week, once every week, which is either on a Saturday or on a Sunday, uh, if it is offline, or it can also be online, which happens then on a Monday. So that is what the balance of Edudigm is all about. And if there is somebody over here who wants to uh, think about studying with us in the next year or so, then these are the dates and time. You can take a screenshot of this. We have tried to keep things as cheap as possible. So there is a small typo. This upper one will be hybrid, the lower one would be online. So this is a fee for 12, the entire 2 years, which obviously need not be paid altogether. There are options of paying this in installments. So right. So what you can do is I have tried to cover all that I had to say in terms of 21st century careers, especially the most important part over here is the way you should think of careers, which is I told you, about the problems first, then choose institutes, then choose the exams, and then finally with with a proper focus on giving yourself time to study maximum in 11, 12, then choose an institute which does not clutter all your time. You should have independent time to study a lot. That is the way in how you should go about choosing your career. I really hope that all of you do well, both in the immediate term. So most of you have board exams coming up. So I hope you do well in that. I hope you do well in the examinations that would be there in 11, 12, and after that. And I would also hope that you do well, develop your skills sufficiently so that you can become a creator and a champion of the 21st century. So I hope you could learn something new today. Uh, yeah. So this is something that I end with usually. This is Swami Vivekananda, one of his most influential quotes on me. I got influenced by him so much that even I named my son Narendranath after him. So he's Narendranath Bakshi, Narendranath Datta. So yeah. Right. So that is it from my end. This is all that I had to share with you all today. I hope you learned something. If there is any question that you all have, you can ask these questions to me. So this can be about your upcoming exams. It can be about career. It can be about uh, whatever other aspect that you want me to cover. So if there is any question, you can either unmute yourself and ask over the microphone, or you can also write down your question on the chat, and I will take my time to answer these questions. So yeah, Obijoy, Obrodeep, Anima, Ankur, Arunavo, Dhruv, Roshni, Shrija, Vishesh or Vyesh. If you all have any questions, you can type that out. and or just unmute yourself and ask the question. So Abhijay is asking me if applied research has good prospects in the future. So see, applied, you have sciences, and new sciences are getting not getting created a lot because science developing new science, it takes time. Uh, Application of science is technology, right? And the research that you're talking about is actually developing new and new technology, finding out new ways of creating new things, new solutions using the same sciences that we have. So since I said 21st century is going to be a creator century, obviously application driven things is going to be in the forefront of it all. So applied research definitely is going to have a very good prospect. Yeah. So Abhijay is asking me the best colleges for this. So applied research. So right now, you would not need to worry about colleges right now because see, so traditionally speaking, whenever we talk about research, India has not been. What am I saying? So yeah, when we talk about research, so usually until 2015, 2016, the trend was if you want to pursue research, you go abroad because abroad may you have the best of research facilities. So, but that is changing right now. So that is changing right now. India, after the Make in India thing has come in, a lot of investment is happening on research in India as well. So right now is not a good time to comment on what is the best institute for doing applied research because things will change by the time you are ready to do research. So your undergraduate course is going to take 4 years time, and after that you would be doing a master's. After that, the real PhD or research work comes in. So you have 6 years time at least to figure out which is the best college for doing the research. But obviously, to get into research, you would either need to get into an electronics or an electrical or a mechanical type of field where you are pursuing your undergraduate. And in India, the best colleges are obviously IITs, NITs, and you have BITS Pilani, BITS Goa, all that. So they're extremely good colleges. Uh, if you go abroad, I would say that so in US there are these Ivy League colleges which are all good, but it's difficult to get unless you have a good portfolio to show. It's very difficult to get in the undergraduate level in those colleges. So by portfolio means things that you have created already. So they are really focusing on that for the last 5, 6 years now. Vish is asking me, what if I'm not getting time out of academic pressure to practice creation? So that's a problem, Vish. Then your priorities are, or the way you are getting guided, there is something wrong with it. I'm very honestly and bluntly, I'm going to tell you. If you're not able to take out 20, 30 minutes time to practice creation, that's I don't know how much pressure people are putting on you. It's not really that difficult. You do not need to put up so much pressure. You should definitely take out some half an hour time every week to practice creation. And one of the things that I want to talk about is definitely go to school, right? So what happens is if you go to school, there is a lot of concept of dummy schools coming up right now. Don't fall for that trap. Go to a good school which requires at least 75% attendance. Go to school for this for at least 75% of the days. Why am I saying this? Is in case you're still getting pressurized a lot at home or at your institute for practicing academics. The school time when you're talking to your friends, you can definitely find out 30, 40 minutes time in a week or even sometimes in a day to discuss about what to create and work on the creation in there. So school is a good way to have this balanced way of development in 11th. Abhrudev is asking me, will AI destroy our future? So I don't think so. Right now, I was working on a UNESCO project where, so UNESCO has come up with a framework of law that should be implemented by each country so that AI development does not go out of hand, and it always remains there to benefit human beings instead of taking over, because all those movies are, everybody has seen what AI can do, the dystopian future. But UNESCO is working on a framework, and I have also worked a lot on that project in the last 2 years. We did not know that in the last 1 year only so much development will happen in AI. But uh, one country has implemented that these laws, but things are happening. So laws will come in, and I'm pretty sure we will be able to put safeguards in place early on so that AI does not destroy our future. Also, if I talk about career wise, so see, AI is like a calculator. Before when calculators came in, a lot of people said that calculators are going to destroy clerical jobs. But that did not happen, right? Clerical jobs still exist, and the calculator has become a tool. So AI will not destroy careers. AI will change the way careers look, and you have to become aware and become a specific kind of a thinker so that AI cannot replace you. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Vijay is again asking me which countries are the best to migrate as of now, and is AI a good branch? AI is definitely a good branch. It's going to be the new. So coal was hot when the industrial revolution happened. AI is that level of hot career right now and going forward. That is definitely going to be very, very hot. The best country to be in right now is India. India, the next 20-25 years, if all of us put work together, the amount of prosperity that this country can give to you compared to any other country in the world right now, nowhere that level of that delta, that possibility of growth is there as much is there in India right now. So definitely the best country to be in right now is India for the next 20-25 years. Jyoti is asking me, I joined the meeting right now. My question is PCMB right to choose because most people are telling it's very tough to handle bio as well as maths. So, Jyoti, so leaf from my life. I had taken PCMB in 11-12, okay? And I have seen people, seen students, seen friends take physics, chemistry, mathematics, and computer science. I would prefer, I would always hands down tell everybody to take PCMB compared to computer science. The reason are two. So in 11-12, suppose you take computer science, you would never study biology and have any idea what is there in biological sciences when you grow up, because you would never have the chance of studying biology ever again. On the other hand, if you have taken biology and not computer science, you can always pick up coding skills in the first year of college. So I learned coding in first year of college, and I'm a pretty good coder now. I had no coding up to class 10. I had not taken computer science. I had taken economics. So I have a basic understanding of how money works, how economics works. In 11-12, I had taken biology, although I did not want to become a doctor. And as a result, I have a very in-depth understanding of how the body and the living world works. And a lot of research projects that I've done when I was at IIT Kharagpur, because of this biological background, it helped me a lot, right? So, and second, about it being difficult. So, if you are very, very clear that you want to pursue engineering, then you need not study biology for more than 7 days in 2 years put together. I had studied biology for 3 days in class 11, 4 days in class 12, just before examinations, and that got me a decent amount of marks. I did not get as high as other subjects. I got 83 out of 100 in my boards in biology. But that didn't matter because eventually my other subjects had taken my percentages up. On the flip side, another good thing that had happened because of having biology was I had an option to become a doctor. So at that point, the WBJ had a medical exam as well. So I did not study biology for more than 4 days in class 12, like I said. So I had a decent average type of a biology ka score. But because my physics and chemistry scores were so high, as a result, I got a 795 rank in medical. I would have got a proper government medical college. So that's a career option that always remains open to you. Computer science, you need to study way more than you need to study biology in 11-12, because physics, chemistry, mathematics, the way it is taxing in terms of logic building and understanding, computer science is almost as difficult as that. So a mathematics slash physics ka jo curriculum hai, a computer science curriculum is equally requiring. So if you don't want to become, if you want to become an engineer, it will save you time if you take biology. That's what I'm going to say about this. I hope I answered your question. There was somebody else. Acha, Jyoti has asked one more question. I am very weak in physics. How do you strengthen the subject? We talked about this. So I'll just repeat this because you have just joined. So one way to strengthen anything is one way to strengthen anything is by practicing. You become better at maths by practicing maths. You become better at physics by practicing physics. But physics is a different. It's actually one of the most difficult subjects in 11-12. The reason being, it's the most logical subject where you cannot memorize stuff, or you cannot say that A plus B will always lead to a specific C as an answer. you really need to develop your fundamental understanding of physics really, really well. So one way to do that is having that practical approach while learning physics. Because so if you are learning something and if you see it happen in front of you, or if you're able to create something on that principle in front of you, then you definitely get the basics. If you get the basics of physics right, and if you're able to visualize stuff that are being taught in physics, if you're able to visualize problems in front of your eyes, then you become good at physics. So it's slightly difficult, but once, so it takes 5-6 months to develop a flair for physics, but once you do that, it is one of the easiest subject ever. If you're able to develop a flair for physics in an examination like IIT JEE, you would not need to touch a pen and a paper to calculate any of the answers that they have been asked, because they become very, very simple if your basics are just right. I know that I've done that myself. So my physics paper mein, out of 40 questions, I had to calculate in 2 questions. 38 questions, I could look at the question, read the question and answer. So it's that logical, but it takes time to develop the flair for that. Dhruv is asking me, what are the things that a person can do by getting degrees in computer applications? So computer applications, there are 2 parts to it. Okay, so one is a hardware, one is a software. So I would want you to Google up something called, what's the name? 1 minute, let me. So there is a TED talk by, let me just try to find that one. I'll just message in the group. I'm not able to recollect the name of the TED talk. So when we talk about hardware, right? In computer applications, in hardware applications, you will be creating new hardware. So I was playing a video of Apple Vision Pro in the beginning of the session. So that is a new element of hardware that has been created by computer applications people. Again, so in computer applications, if you really understand how zeros and ones are getting converted to the software part, if you are able to build that amount of fundamental understanding, then you would do wonders in the application front, in the AI front, in the data mining front, in the application development front. So you would become a creator, developer. You would become a developer primarily if you're doing computer applications. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to become a coder in general, if you want to become a ethical hacker, if you want to become a AI engineer, all of these can be done after doing computer applications. Arunabha is asking, how would topics like psychology, philosophy fare in the future, seeing how difficult it can be for most to excel in nearly everything? People may have to find niches, but I feel the most will be unable to adapt to such an environment so quickly. So how much of an human element would take over our minds, our work, and how will social subjects then shape the future? So very, very pertinent question, Arunava. So social sciences, I did not realize this early on, but is now I realize. So topics like psychology, anthropology, philosophy, sociology, these topics are going to take a higher turn in the near future, because when we are dealing with stuff like AI, the social order is going to change. The way we interact with each other, the way we interact with machines is going to entirely change. And the way this entire, so a lot of screen time, a lot of technology involved in human interaction, that has impact on the human psyche. So definitely, because the social order is going to change so much, I don't know how much of a mass career option it would be, but definitely some good people would emerge in the next 10, 15, 20 years who will shape the way humans think, behave, because even governance is going to change. If AI is there, would you need such bigger parliament? Would there be a better way of doing governance or finding a government than elections? All these questions need to be answered now and will be answered in the next 5, 10, 15 years time. So definitely psychology, philosophy, sociology, and anthropology. Anthropology is the study of human beings, the history of humans, how we have evolved, how our cultures have evolved. So all these would help. Jyoti is asking, I want to sit for NEET and after that study abroad. Is it a good idea? What are the best books to prepare for NEET? So, yeah, well, why not? If you want to sit for NEET, so you essentially want to become a doctor. Nowadays, one field that is really working a lot is BAMS, Bachelors of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery. So you can look at that as well. Very, very hot career prospect there. A lot of hospitals are hiring BAMS majors now. If you want to go abroad, obviously, if you want to do MD or higher studies, it would definitely be better if you go to Australia, UK, or US, Germany also. Really good technologies in medical fields over there. So it's a good option, definitely, definitely. But I would still say that the next decade or two is going to be India's decade. So consider staying back in India. A lot of things are changing in India. A lot of things are happening properly. Yeah. So India is changing for the good. I'm very hopeful for the country, and I am pretty sure by the time you finish your MBBS, India would be a force to reckon with in terms of higher studies in medical field. Dhruv is asking me, as my timings, school timings are bad and I'm in ICSE, people are telling me to change my board to CBSE. Should I do that as I want to give competitive exams? My school timings are 10:30 to 6. My God. So the timings are not really bad. The timings are good. This is a very comfortable timing. You get to play in the evening at school probably before leaving. You get to wake up slightly early and study before going to school. And you have a balanced time. But it's not a bad timing, by the way. So it's a good time. I would have preferred this timing. My school timing was from 7 to 2. Sorry, 8 to 2. I used to leave. My school was 70 kilometers away from where I used to stay in 11, 12. I had 98% attendance. So I used to leave at 6. I used to come back at 4. After that, I was drained. So I used to sleep from 4:35 p.m. to 11, 12 p.m. I used to sleep the entire evening. I used to study at night. So yeah, that's why what I used to do. But yeah, so you should definitely wake up in the morning, 5, 6, and then you have 4.5 hours time before school. That's a very good thing to have. But that's it. Compared to ISC, I would still prefer CBSC. The reason is not the timing. The reason is languages. So in ICSC, ISC, you have 2 languages, English and a second language. And English has 2 papers, and the English is more difficult compared to a CBSC. CBSC is very simple in terms of English. Yeah, so I would suggest that you go to a CBSE school. It helps to have a one subject list, because then you can focus more on the core subjects, which are physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology. So we would be able to focus more on that. Roshni is asking, there is so much pressure and competition in the field of science. How to cope with this pressure and competition and actually focus on enjoying studying without tension and external pressure? Good question. So I talked about that slide, no, where we should not focus on the exams first. We should focus on the problems of the world. So if you have done that, if you have said that I want to solve a specific problem in the world, and the way to do that, if you have decided that is a STEM career, suppose you do not get into the specific college that you wanted to get into. Fair enough. There are multiple other ways to work on that same problem. So as soon as you change your milestone from an institute to the problem that you want to invest yourself in solving, suddenly all this pressure will go away. You would realize that you don't really need to go to a specific college to solve the problem of the world. So the way to think of 11, 12 is a way where you're identifying one specific gateway that you want to prepare for. But in case you do not get through that gateway, you would still have multiple other gateways to solve that problem in some certain other way. So that always remains. So in the field of science, there is a lot of competition, but I'll tell you, the field of science is one of the easiest things in the world. Commerce is more difficult than science. Arts, humanities is even more difficult than commerce. Science is actually the most easy thing that you are going to have in the next 2 years. So yeah, so don't think of the exam as the end of everything, right? You have to think of the problem as something that you are trying to solve. Jyoti is asking about books. So Jyoti, do you do one thing? So I have a list of books that I obviously do not recollect right now. You can message me. I had a message in the group. So you can message me once the session is over. I'll share a list of books that I have in mind that are really good. Ovijay is asking, in applied research, you told to stay back in India. So should I consider shifting to Bangalore or Hyderabad, or will West Bengal be a good place to do applied research? And will I prefer IITs to IISc? Yeah, so IITs are more into technology, IISc is more into sciences. If you want to do applied, IITs are better. But that said, IISc is also very good. There is a specific institute that I want you to um, search about. This institute is IIST, Indian Institute of Space Technology, that has been directly created by ISRO. And two more institutes are IISER and NISER. These two institutes also have good bachelor's program that can lead to eventually applied research. So you can look at that. But again, so it's preferred to pursue engineering first and then get into a master's in physics or chemistry so that your PhD can be in applied. But your undergraduate should be ideally in engineering. That gives you an edge while you try to do applied research. If you want to tell, again, so IIT se jodi jaccho to you don't need to worry about where to shift eventually, but the most of the brain in the country are right now either in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, or Delhi. Bengal is getting some investments over the last 2 years. I'm seeing because a lot of my friends are coming back now, and a lot of the companies are also coming to Kolkata, to West Bengal. So let's see if things change by the time you are joining the workforce. So I'm not something that I'm very clear on in terms of what is going to happen in the future. So, or Brodip is asking how to stay motivated all the time. It's impossible to stay motivated all the time. It's always you're going to go through ups and downs. But one thing that helps me is I have a certain short term and a long term goal. Short term means something I want to achieve in the next 3 to 6 months time. Long term is something that I want to achieve in the next 2 to 5 years time, right? What I do is I have tried to keep these goals as impractical as possible so that these goals challenge me to change the way I am, and eventually I become very happy and successful at the end if I achieve these goals. What I have done is I have the place where I sleep. No, as soon as I wake up, I really hate waking up early in the morning, and that is the time when I feel the least motivated because I don't want to wake up from my bed. I don't want to get up from my bed. That's one of my weaknesses. So the place where I sleep, just above it on the top, I have pasted a big chart paper with my short term and the long term goal. When I wake up, I look at it. That scares me. Ki করে হবে এত impossible জিনিস, and that actually pushes me to get up from the bed. So one way to be motivated is having a larger than life short term and long term goal, and putting it somewhere so that it's a constant reminder of what you have promised yourself for yourself. That's a way of staying motivated for sure. And Urudavi is asking if my environment inhibits my growth of curiosity, then how am I supposed to keep my flame of curiosity alive after keeping it dormant for so long? How can I assure that I will not lose hope in that path? Again, no assurance ever in anything. But if you really want to develop your curiosity, you will find a way to do it. If your environment is changing, inhibiting your growth, change the environment. If the part of the environment that you're talking about is not changeable, so maybe say your family and all, try to spend time with people who are going to inspire you. So you have to surround yourself with people who inspire you to be curious. If a part of your environment is inhibiting that, you have to create another part of your environment that is actually sustaining that. One thing that really changed my way of thinking, way of dealing with life is when I became very choosy about who am I going to be friends with. So because friends, you are average of the five people that you're closest to and interact with the most. So choose these 5 people very, very carefully. If you are able to surround yourself with people who celebrate being curious, you would eventually become curious and you would have a way of thinking that would get inspired from them. Okay, very good questions, very detailed questions, all of you. Thank you for that. I had a very good time answering the questions. Is there anybody else who has any other questions to ask? My God, we have been here for an hour, 46 minutes. Okay, Roshni is asking something. Is getting into IITs and AIMS the definition of hard work and success? No. So, yeah, obviously. So nobody will get into these places without working hard, being consistent. Not really hard work, but smart work. We have to strategize well, be very, very consistent for 2 years, and only those people are able to get into institutions of these stature. But yeah, so it's not really hard work and success. I would not say that only IITs and aims are like that. So anything that you do, if you set your mind to do something, whatever you set your mind to doing, you'd eventually be able to achieve that. So hard work and success can lead to different ways of can manifest in different ways. But yeah, obviously, I would consider IITs and aims as something that a lot of people aspire to do. If you get into that, you definitely have been hardworking and have a better shot at being successful. Obrodeep, how to ignore negative people and negative comments. Don't talk to them. I don't care whoever tells anything to me about myself because I know what I want. I know if that is right or wrong. And it just doesn't really matter what somebody is telling about me. You can come to my face and say that you're not doing a good job in education. You're trying to do X, Y, Z, whatever. It would not matter to me because I know what I am doing. So you have to be more confident about yourself. Doesn't really matter who says anything that about you. How does it matter? Just don't talk to people. Just cut people off who are negative. That's what I have been doing, and I've been happy because of that. So so the questions are ranging from peer management to this. So Roshni is saying there are a lot of books and guides in the market, but what to choose and what will really help us? Please suggest books for JE exam. Right. So like I told, somebody else was asking about NEET. Jyoti was asking about NEET. So Roshni, please send me a message at the after the session gets over. So I have a definite list of books that I have also followed. I'll share that with you. I cannot just remember that off the top of my head. Okay. All right. So that is all that is there from my end. If you have any more questions that you have not been able to ask here, you have my number. It's there in the group. And a few of you I had messaged personally as well. So ask away those questions and I'll see how I'll try to help you the most as I that I can. One last thing is if there is anybody in here who wants to explore studying with Edudigm in the next year, I'm going to share a contact. I'll share the contact in the group itself. So you can get in touch with her. Her name is Dipandita. And yeah, that's all. Okay. Is there any other question? If there is anyone whose questions have not been answered or you have not been able to ask, you can raise your hand. I'll take a note of that and I'll get in touch with you over WhatsApp. Or you can always reach out to me on WhatsApp. So I'm available over there. One request, you all have my personal number. Please don't share it with anyone else because then life becomes very spammy and I'll have to change numbers, which is something I don't want to do. So please don't share my number with anybody else without asking me first. Okay. That's a request that I have for all of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for being so patient for the last almost 2 hours. I'll see you again soon. Tata. Bye bye. Thank you, Roshni, for being there. Chalo, good night, everyone. I'm ending the session now.